Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sama, Seattle Sacred Music and Art. I'm Derek Mazzoni, and thanks for being here. We're still in the age of COVID. There are some amazing transformations going on all over the world. My heart goes out to all of the amazing people in the gorgeous city of Beirut that suffered a horrific explosion and calamity um, in its port. The footage was just insane, and I'm hoping, as the glass half full guy I am, that this will lead to some changes within the governmental structure of the country, and hopefully, as in here in the United States, we can take adversity and mutate it alchemically into something much more powerful and good for all of us. So tonight on Sama, I have a very special guest. We're going to be digging deep into the role of records, actual vinyl and pre-vinyl 78s in it, these in the dissemination of sacred music and healing music. Now, when you say sacred music and healing music, your brain tends to go to one place, and that is India. Now, you know, for a long time, for thousands of years, music has been evolving in India. But many people in the West had no idea what was going on with that. Occasionally, in late 1800s, when Britain would do pavilions and it would showcase Indian artists, you would see the tabla and sitar for the first time. Then in the 30s, there was some dissemination of Indian music, but it really kind of kicked in the 50s and 60s. Tonight's guest is sound artist and author Robert Millis. Hello, Robert.
Hi there, Derek.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well. How are you?
It's going well. You have a lot of records around you, my friend.
Yeah, I do. Um, when I moved into this house almost 20 years ago, this wall looked like hell. And so I started putting broken records and stuff on it, and it's just grown ever since then. Most of these are 78s,
That's beautiful.
shellac discs. Yeah.
So, Robert has a very interesting pedigree. He's a Fulbright scholar, Guggenheim Fellow. He tends to travel the world, and he was able to actually publish this book, Indian Talking Machine, which is a look at the history of gramophones and records in India, which is our subject for tonight. How'd you get into this? There are so many roads in life.
I don't know. I'd always been interested in Indian music, uh, and yet I didn't know very much about it. It kind of, at one hand, seemed so beautiful, but on the other hand, seemed kind of incomprehensible. And so I thought it might be interesting to go to India and try to look at some of the early recordings there, and meet some collectors from India. And I did that, and then I went back a second time with a Fulbright. I actually convinced Fulbright, and if I can convince Fulbright to send me to India to meet collectors and buy old records, then you can too. Everyone can do it. Um,
Ah,
but I came to find out that India was basically one of the first countries outside of the Western world to get recorded. India is what it is today, as a powerhouse music making machine.
and then all of these records. Your book is pretty phenomenal because they just produced so many freaking records. It was insane.
Well, they
Um,
did everywhere in the world, to be honest, but yeah.
and then here at Sama we're focusing on sacred and healing music and its power to help people. Let's hear something and tell us what
Sure.
we're about to listen to.
What we're about to listen to is, I think I'm going to put on Purna Das Bal. He's one of the Bals of Bengal. This is probably one of the first recordings of a Bal. He went on to become a very famous proponent, traveled all over the world of this type of music.
চল দেখি ভাই গৌরাঙ্গের দোলে আমরা পড়তে যাই সবাই মিলে চল দেখি ভাই গৌরাঙ্গের দোলে সে তাহাই হরি কথা ভাগবত গীতা ওরে প্রেমী দাতা নিতায় বলে আমার প্রেমী দাতা নিতায় বলে চল দেখি ভাই গৌরাঙ্গের দোলে আমরা পড়তে যাই সবাই মিলে চল দেখি ভাই গৌরাঙ্গের দোলে
And in the same way, this music would go on for hours. They performed the festivals I've been to, exhausted me, wore me, destroyed me.
Hey, let's go to a video where we have some really beautiful stuff that.
So this is a great drum improvisation, and it's a lot of images from this book that I made a film out of. So you'll get an idea of what the book's like.
First question, looking at those pictures. No, dude, I understand crate digging. I love going into a used record store and looking for stuff. I don't want to say hoarding, but that's just what do you do with that?
I started to meet them first online, and then one would introduce me to the next in another city, and I would go from there. How much fun is that? Listening to records that you have no idea what they are.
Now, we're about to hear something. We're going to hear this on a gramophone. No electricity involved at all. We're going ancient technology and also brand new technology all at the same time. Dude, that was beautiful.
Did
And it's
it?
almost like
Did this work?
you're a turntablist, and you just had to work that machine to make sure that the music was coming out, and one form or another. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that's another thing to think about in terms of 78s is that with most recording, especially for the last 50 years or more, you can always do overdubs. You can always do another take. With 78s, they gave you one or two shots, and that was it. And to hear what she does with her voice on that,
Oh,
and she had no idea what recording was. Well, you got to think about that. Who did 100 years ago have an idea of what they were doing, and that someone 100 years later was going to be listening to this?
here we are.
And one last thing, I love that you can hear her announcer voice at the end. It's something that's peculiar to Indian 78s, but it's something I love, and the way she does it at the end is great.
Thank you for sharing. That is beautiful. Let's go to another video, and then let's talk about From Paris to Calcutta. but the fact that to be able to share this and to bring that out and the range of music on there, and the spirituals that are in there, and just at this window of time, is invaluable, especially now where we're limited to travel, and we try to find ways to honor that. And this book and your work is a way to do that. I love it.
Yeah, it's a great record.
That is a beautiful record. We are going deep. We're going back,
Exactly,
way
the
back,
basement level.
beyond, and yet to the future. We are here right now. So all you other DJs out there, represent. This is old school.
So actually, interestingly enough, that was a sitar, obviously, by someone named Indranil Bhattacharya. No relation, but
There's a lot about
common
the
name.
Charyas.
Yeah, it's a common last name. Um, and this is a pretty unusual record. I don't think he recorded very much, if at all. But he was a student of Aludin Khan, who is one of the absolute masters of Indian classical music of kind of any age. Jai Chand was another musician recorded right at the end of Deben's trip once he arrived in India. And he's a street musician that he's performing with. There's a couple of pictures that you'll see in the video. And it's a street musician. He's performing with his son. Um, and this is a beautiful song that, as far as I understand, is about the spirit leaving the body, kind of like a bird flies away.
वडलो कैसे वनराय सरग्यू छोड़ी दो ने जुना मारा पंखीरा तमो उड़ी जाओ ने पाखो वाड़ा वाड़ा
That is haunting. That is so
Yeah.
beautiful. Couple of quick things. First of all, I'm here with Robert Millis, sound artist and author. We've been talking about Tibet and Bhattacharya, for Paris to Calcutta, music and men on a desert road. A big shout out to Livingston in Kentucky, Gabriel in Argentina, and John's got a question. How were these songs used in their native settings? In temples, on the streets? How did that work?
Which songs do you mean? The Jai Chand song was, it's what's called a bhajan, which is a devotional sort of song that are sung in many different contexts, and kind of often personalized in many ways. So many songs, yes, of course, were sung in temples, but they could have been sung at home. And this song was literally sung by someone who wanted to earn money. He was just singing on the street with his son. The son, Babu, does almost sound like it might be a daughter, but I've understood from Devin's widow that it is in fact his son.
Okay. Okay. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
many different contexts for this music.
Okay, beautiful. You can find out more information about Robert Millis on Sublime Frequencies. All the promotional that's come after this has links to his Bandcamp and his website. Robert, thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
Keep collecting. And I want to go deeper into that process of what you went in your mind when you were looking at these gigantic piles of records and where to start, because that in and of itself is a documentary and in there. Thank you. I want to thank everybody to help put this together, and we're back next week. This is
Thank
Sama.
you, Derek. Have a good night.
Thank you, Robert. Seattle Circuit Music and Art.